I guess the moral of the story here, everyone, is why buy when you can rent? I mean, what kind of incentives are they trying to put forward here? You think about our history as a country, and one of the greatest things we've had is home ownership. Well, now they're going to make it more attractive to rent instead of for you to own your own home? The priorities are all messed up. Joining me right now to discuss, Belpointe Chief Strategist Dave Nelson and Trump 2020 campaign advisor Mark Serrano. Mark, they had an opportunity to do a whole lot of good here, and I think they've squandered it. Is there any chance it can be saved?
Well, Trish, candidly, I think that there's nothing to be saved. I think conference committee is going to come up with the right arrangements. That's the whole purpose of the legislative process, is the Senate and the House are going to negotiate on the differences between their bills. I think ultimately the taxpayer will benefit. You're happy with these bills the way they are right now? Well, if Steve Scalise tells us, which he did yesterday on Fox, that anybody currently paying taxes will see a reduction in their taxes, I believe him. And I believe they will stay committed to that principle. You know, and let's not overlook the fact, Trish, too.
Look, I appreciate your optimism, but don't be too Pollyanna on this one, because the way they're starting out, not everybody's going to see a reduction in their tax rate, and a lot of people are actually going to see their taxes go up. And then you heard what they said about you're not going to be able to deduct as much property tax. You're not going to be able to deduct as much mortgage. What is this going to do to property values all over the country?
Yeah, I understand. But I understand. Look, your skepticism is healthy. I think now is the time to express it because they're in conference committee right now. But my understanding from this bill, Trish, is we are going to see reductions. Everybody will not pay income tax on their first $24,000, where currently it's their first $12,000.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, but if you're going to cut taxes, here we go again, Dave. You actually have to cut it for the people that are paying the taxes. And if you're making $24,000 a year, you're probably not paying much in taxes, if anything.
It's true. Look, there's a lot of flaws in this tax bill. You've talked about a lot of them, and certainly the optics are bad. You've mentioned a few, like carried interest.
Yeah. Can we go over that again? I want to state that again for Mark's benefit.
Okay, for everybody's benefit, carried interest is where somebody in private equity, pretty rich fat cats, they can really get their income at the cap gains rate. And that's going to be obviously
which means they pay way lower taxes. And that means, like Steve Schwartzman and the rest of them out there, they're paying way less than percentage-wise, Mark Serrano, than, say, a firefighter in New York. I just think that is fundamentally wrong, and the president promised to change it. But guess what? Both the Senate and Congress, they're asleep at the switch when it comes to that, because you get too many darn lobbyists out there lining somebody's pocket to make sure that these private equity investors stay fat.
I understand the frustration, but despite all that, Trish, the corporate tax rate coming down to 20 or even 22. 22 brings it up. That's $200 billion in extra revenue for the United States. That's really critical. As with all the flaws that this bill has, we have to get that. There's $3 trillion sitting offshore that's going to stay there if we don't do something about it.
I agree with that, but I just can't believe how, frankly, how obvious they have made this. Really, Mark. I mean, in terms of just saying, we're going to stick it to the individual, we're going to stick it to high earners, they're going to pay the price, and corporations will get the break.
Well, but the corporations are going to get the break at 20%, perhaps 22%. And look, if you take a look at the announcement yesterday from the National Association of Manufacturers, what their members are saying is, first of all, their optimism is at a 20-year high at 94.6%. Secondly, 63% of them, Trish, are saying they're going to make capital spending investments greater than they are now. 58% said they're going to expand their businesses, create new jobs. Look, basically, the average pay increase is going to go to middle-income families. There's a lot of misinformation out there right now, Trish.
I'm not arguing with you on the corporate side, Mark.
Mark is sitting on a really important point
but that's going to inure to the benefit of workers. That's going to inure to the benefit of workers.
You're basically taking money away from those that are wage earners, that people that work for companies and are getting good wages already. You're taking it from them in order to help these corporations. And also, by the way, $100 billion. You could have saved that if you'd gone after the private equity guys like the president had promised, Dave. I'm frustrated with it because I want something better.
Look at I'd like something better too. This is not the tax deal that I would have liked to have seen, but it's the one we have, and it's better than where we are sitting right now. Mark brought up a very important point. U.S. corporations are going to start. We're at the beginning of a CapEx cycle. A lot of this money is going to go back to work in the economy, not overseas, but right here in the United States. We're already seeing that right now. Buybacks are actually on the decline for the first time in a decade.
I hope so.
I would also say, Trish, let's not discount the Obamacare mandate, Trish, and the money that's going to put back in the pockets of working families in America. That is huge. It's very significant. $338 billion over 10 years, and that is money in the pockets of regular Americans. That clause will stay in there, and guess what? This vote is going to hang by one in the Senate with Susan Collins, okay? And she is now committed to stay in this package. We've been assured she will, and it's largely thanks to what was done on the Obamacare, the repeal of the Obamacare mandate. That is huge, Trish. That has to be considered here as well.
Yeah, again, they could have done a lot more for individuals, as they had promised to do, and they're not doing it, and I don't understand why. But again, you know, individuals don't have lobbyists working for them. Dave and Mark, thank you very much.